Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Good evening to our viewers on TV1 and listeners on ES 101, and welcome to a brand new edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Muthanaika. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
President to repeal amendments made to the excise ordinance. 14 arrested for protesting against a fatal road accident. Police fire tear gas to disperse the protesters. Government receives second tranche of $97.3 million from China for investment in Hambantota port. Harvest Festival of Thai Pongal celebrated across the world. SMS triggers ballistic missile attack, panic in Hawaii.
Stories in detail now. President Maithripala Sirisena says he will take steps to repeal amendments to the excise ordinance, including the extension to opening hours of liquor sellers. The president made the following statement during a public rally held in Agalawatha, Matugama this evening.
Recently, I saw allegations being levelled at the government. The opening hours of Arak taverns had been changed. I have been informed that it will be from 8 in the morning to 10 at night. These are the opening hours for the Arak taverns according to the circular. Next, I saw there was a law that prohibited women from purchasing bottles of Arak from liquor stores and bars. I have been informed that this law has been repealed. I spoke to Finance Minister Mangala Samaravira. He is in India for 3 days. I spoke to our Prime Minister last morning. I spoke to several government ministers. I said that this circular, which allows bars to remain open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and allows women to buy Arak from liquor stores and bars, must be repealed immediately. This circular will be repealed from tomorrow.
Hindus the world over celebrate Thai Pongal today, the harvest festival dedicated to the sun god.
Thai Pongal is celebrated on the first day of the month of Thai of the Tamil calendar. Thus, Thai is the first month of Tamil calendar, and the Pongal is a sweet dish of rice, moong dal and jaggery and milk. The festival is a Thanksgiving ceremony in which the farmers celebrate the event to thank the spirits of nature, the sun and the farm animals for their assistance in providing a successful harvest. With the dawn of the day, families gather in their front gardens, participate in the ceremonial cooking of the Pongal rice. A flat square pitch is made and decorated with kolam drawings, and it is exposed to the direct sunlight. Issuing a special message in view of Thai Pongal, President Maithripala Sirisena, extending his wishes for a prosperous year to the Hindus in Sri Lanka and abroad, notes that the celebration of Thai Pongal depicts the ardent desire to protect and cherish ancient traditions, to refill humanity with culture, kindness, peace and reconciliation with utmost devotion towards fellow humankind. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in his Thai Pongal Day message notes that Thai Pongal festival confirms to us the blessings of being at peace with nature and the value of equality. It helps us to ponder on being thankful for everything nature has provided for us. In his Thai Pongal Day message, Opposition Leader Sambandhan says that it is his prayer that a new constitution will be framed without any further delay in the new year, which will uphold the right to dignity, self-respect and justice on the basis of equality amongst all citizens of Sri Lanka, so as to ensure goodwill, unity and genuine reconciliation within an undivided Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, leader of the National Unity Alliance, Asad Sali, extending his wishes for Thai Pongal, says that the day celebrates the bond between man and nature. He further notes that the day is significant in promoting unity in society.
For tonight's special report, we now cross over to Chaturanga Hapwarachi, who is at the newsroom. Chaturanga?
Thank you, Arundhati. Today we are going to talk about national resources of our country being given away to other countries on lease, or these natural resources being given away so that the investors can come in and invest in them. Now I have here with me Mr. Faraz Shaukat Ali. Good evening to you, Faraz.
Hi, Chaturanga.
Faraz, now we know, let's get to the point straight away. We know there is no such thing as a free lunch. That's a common saying. Now we also know that India has been extending a helping hand in the recent past and investing in certain key projects across the country, around the country. And we also know that these are places of importance if you take a look at it.
Yes.
What is happening and why is India doing this?
Well, are they actually helping us out, or are they making strategic investments that will suit their agenda? As you say, there's nothing called a free lunch. So we must view these things. And these are not outright gifts, Chaturanga. They are, we've got to pay back these loans. They're some form of loans.
Definitely.
And we have to pay them back. So that's, it's not a free lunch. So we need to be aware they can also invest in other projects like housing, the health system, education. Those are the things they can also do. But instead of that, what we do see is these investments in strategic projects.
For us, I have a sum here behind me. I'm going to show you how I got to this sum, USD 730.6 million. I'm going to first draw your attention for us. Now, we receive information to say that the Kankasanture port, India has been extending 6.9 billion rupees as a loan, concessionary loan, to invest in this Kankasanture port. So that is 6.9 billion USD. So this is a colossal amount if you take a look at it for us. Now, take a look at, now for some reason the government has decided, a policy decision, to give out these infrastructure projects on lease agreements to other countries. Now if you take a look at the flip side of it for us, now there is a lot of money coming into the country through these projects. Now the second tranche of the Chinese port deal was also received. That amounts to 97.365 million USD.
That's right.
So the initial amount was 1.120 billion USD that they promised, China promised us, and out of that we initially received 292 million. We received another 97 million today, and the total value is the sum I had earlier in the whiteboard over here, and that is about 730 million USD.
Now, Chaturanga, if we have a look at it, we spoke about these strategic investments. There's Matala Airport being sold off to India or Indian interests. Trincomalee oil tank also been taken over by Indian interests, and of course the Hambantota port has gone to China. The government has given all this away.
Let's get to the point here for us. Let's for a moment stop all of this and let me ask you a question. With the track record the government has had after 2015, there is a lot of money coming into the country with all of these deals. But will they be actually used for the development of the country? Will they be actually used for the development of the people of this country? Can the people have faith in the government?
I'm afraid that is a huge conundrum that the people are facing, because the track record of this government is absolutely abysmal. Let's be frank and let's not pussyfoot around that. That is the stark reality. There's corruption is endemic and so on. And we must remember what the governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka said. And he was expressing how important it was for Sri Lanka to get this money into our nation's economy. And that begs the question then, in the light of all this corruption and so on, what is the level of faith that the public can have in the ability of this government to actually use these funds by, in effect, selling off the family silver?
Now, if you take a look at, for us, the investments that are coming, we spoke about India. India can invest in medical, healthcare, education, supplying water, but we also see that India is investing in these mega projects around the country, strategically important for them. That is also a point that we have to remind our viewers that this is not a helping hand, this is not an extension of an assistance, not a free lunch.
That's right. It may be perceived or it might be presented as a helping hand. But when we take a closer and proper and intense look at it, it is all these investments are strategic.
Now for us, moving on. we have had several issues in our country in the recent past. One such issue we had was the power issue, the crisis surrounding the CEB and the PUCSL.
Yep.
Today we have a report in the Ceylon Today to say, let me quote the article, sinister moves by authorities to sabotage awarding the Kerala-Pitya 2 combined cycle power project to a local company could cause 204 billion rupees in losses.
Yes.
Now for us, once again we see a situation where a group of individuals or a group of individuals have resulted in the country incurring a loss.
Yeah. This seems to have become second nature, unfortunately, all these losses. And these losses are not in lakhs or in millions. It's now gone up several notches, and it's now in the billions. As you know, that infamous bond scandal and so on. It's all in the billions. So it appears that various groups of people or some people are being, they enjoy political patronage, but at the cost of the people of this nation. And that's important to bear in mind constantly.
With regard to this whole LNG or coal or LNG debate that is there in the public nowadays, we receive a report from the Sunday Times today to say that a Korean-backed project for 1 million tons of LNG a year. Now, if you take a look at the shallow situation pertaining to this article, it's a good story. There we are receiving a liquid natural gas terminal free of charge from Korea. But there is an added clause.
Well, and that's precisely the point, and that's what the catch is. Like, all these things have various catches, and this catch here is that we'll be committing ourselves, this nation, to a 20-year contract, a 2 decades contract for the supply of that LNG. Now, Korea, I might stand to be corrected here, but Korea isn't known as a supplier or a manufacturer of LNG. There are other countries around the world that supply their
countries like the United States, Russia,
Australia, Qatar. These are the countries that actually manufacture, and it begs the question, like the bond where they bought things in the secondary market instead of the primary level, why can't we go to the source? This is a government, for heaven's sake, a sovereign state entering into a contract, and it would make prudent sense and good business sense for us to enter into a contract right at the beginning with the manufacturers.
Now here too we have another problem. What is the Swiss challenge method that everyone is talking about?
The Swiss challenge is another way of giving some form of credibility to unsolicited bids, because the person who makes that bid or that offer has an advantage over all others. It must be challenged by other newcomers and so on, but at the end of the day, the Swiss challenge is usually used for things where there's not much of interest in national assets and so on, and it's not the best way. The best way is to have a proper tender process, a competitive bidding process.
Now for us, from time to time we've seen a situation where the demand for our electricity in our country has been increasing. Now the PUCSL, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, has come forward and said by March or April there will be, if the government can't get this generation plan of the CEB right in order to get it running, there will be a situation where we will have to go into power cuts.
Indeed.
Now there are two other reasons for this as well. There is a repair that is coming in at the Norotchole coal power plant, and there is another requirement for a repair to be carried out at the Kalanitissa power plant as well.
Indeed.
So thereby obviously there is an imminent threat of a power cut being experienced in the near future.
We will face challenges to our power supply.
Now for us, why I am bringing this up is this reason. Now we know that the CEB and the PUCSL of our country have been having this debate all throughout to say, look, we have this generation plan, and the PUCSL says, look, no, your generation plan is not in accordance with what the government's policy is, so we are going to reject your generation plan. Then the CEB says, no, you can't do that. That sort of argument has been going on.
Yes.
Now for us, we receive information to say that these two gentlemen, Minister Ranjit Siyambalapitiya, Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy, Mr. Suren Batagoda, have taken steps to carry out a revamping at the PUCSL.
Now it looks like, in my suspicious mind, it looks very much like they're trying to get in a bunch of yes men as opposed to a group of people who will stand up for what is right and what is best for our country. And that is how it appears. Why change these people? Is it because they have a different opinion, an opinion that is not suitable to these two gentlemen?
Why the sudden need for a revamping when the priority should be to sort out this blackout situation that we are going to potentially face in the near future?
That's right.
Faraz, now you've been following the bond scam. You've been reporting on it all throughout. The bond scam report is finally being tabled in Parliament on Wednesday.
Yes.
And it will be available online for the general public.
Indeed.
Now, if I may ask you a question now at this juncture.
Yeah.
Who is actually responsible for the bond scam?
Well, look, we had two CORP committees looking at it, and we had the Presidential Commission. Now, the Presidential Commission has ferreted out far more detail than both these commissions put together.
Yeah.
So I think it would be only fair to say, look, it's pointing in one direction, but let's wait and see. Let's take a look.
As Prime Minister and leader of the United National Party, is Ranil Wickremesinghe accountable for the bond scam? Who appointed Singaporean national Arjuna Mahendran as the governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka? Who took purview of the central bank away from the finance ministry and placed it under himself? When the first bond scam was exposed, who appointed an unqualified and partisan committee to investigate it? On whose instructions did UNP MP Sujeewa Senasinghe seek a court order preventing the release of the report of the Committee on Public Enterprises chaired by DEW Gunasekara? When the Handunnetti Corp report was not favourable to them, who issued instructions for footnotes to be included in the report by the group of UNP MPs? Who was it that extended the term of the central bank governor instead of removing him when allegations of his involvement in the bond scam were revealed? Who was it that informed Parliament that the central bank governor acted on his instructions in bond issuances? The profit earned by perpetual treasuries through trading in bonds amounts to 13,145 million rupees. The loss caused to the Employees Provident Fund, the National Savings Bank, the Mahapola Scholarship Fund and the Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation totals 8,529 million rupees. The total loss caused to the state and the public totals 11,145 million rupees.
For us, we see certain ministers attached to the United National Party coming forward to the media and making various statements. We've seen one such minister coming forward and saying, look, when we were doing the election, I was offered 800 million rupees to ensure that the presidential candidate back then, current President Maithripala Sirisena, gets defeated. They make various statements to maybe divert the attention from this whole bond scam report to elsewhere. If you take a look at the track record of the current government for us, what do you have to say?
The track record is absolutely abysmal. We've had Sri Lankan Airlines, we've had the bond scam, we've had the Central Expressway Section 3, we've had the other highways engulfed in controversy, and of course we had the coal supply. So, you know, the track record is absolutely abysmal. There's nothing really that we can have hope on anymore. So it's not good.
That's all we have from upstairs. It's come to a situation where the people of this country have to wait and see what will happen on Wednesday and what the Bond Commission report will actually reveal. The matters we've been reporting for over 2 years. We report, you decide. Back to the main studio.
With the speedily constructed flyover in Rajagiriya failing to deliver the desired result by easing traffic congestion, the people have begun to question the arbitrary spending of public funds on allegedly poorly planned developments. Meanwhile, the government has decided to construct 3 more flyovers that will be completed in 2 years.
According to the Ceylon today, the flyovers will be constructed in Kirulopana, Kohuwala and Yangalmodara. The Kohwala flyover will be constructed on Dutugamunu Street for traffic on the Colombo-Horana Road, while the distance of this flyover will be 220 metres. The flyover in Kirulapona, which will be constructed at a length of 330 metres, will be built at the Kirulapona junction towards the tail end of the baseline road. The flyover in the Yangal-Modra area will be the longest, with a length of 410 metres. The Ceylon today, quoting the Director General of External Resources, Priyantha Ratnayaka, says the funds for the project will be raised from a concessionary interest-free loan of 52 million euros from the Hungarian government. The framework agreements for the 3 flyovers have already been signed, and the credit agreements will be signed in due course. The relevant documents pertaining to the projects have already been sent to the Ministry of Higher Education and Highways for the necessary procurements. However, experts have repeatedly opined that flyovers are only a last resort solution for traffic congestion and that funds should be utilized for developing public transportation. It is also important to consider the cost of these flyovers. The Rajagiriya flyover at 534 metres was built at a cost of 4.5 billion rupees, or about 8.4 million rupees per metre. By comparison, the cancelled 6.72 kilometre Bangalore steel flyover, which had a proposed cost of approximately 19 billion Indian rupees according to Indian media reports, or over 45.6 billion Sri Lankan rupees at today's exchange rates, has a per metre cost of only about 6.8 million Sri Lankan rupees. In Bangalore, this project faced stiff public protest and was cancelled in March last year in the face of allegations of corruption and kickbacks being paid to senior officials. Why are we in Sri Lanka seemingly obsessed with constructing flyovers?
As the February 10th local government elections grow closer, politicians are taking to stages across the country to boost their campaigns. Here are some snippets of views expressed in the political theatre.
I feel sorry for our Prime Minister. We saw an ugly scene transpiring in Parliament yesterday. It turned into a kickboxing Parliament. The ministers and MPs in the party isolated the Prime Minister.
The change cannot be brought about by Parliament now. The reason for this, as you may have seen, is the way they have behaved. I was truly surprised by what was going on. We are novices. From one side they are shouting at the others, calling them dogs. The other side responds, calling them donkeys. Parliament has become a zoo.
A kilo of rice costs more than 100 rupees. A coconut costs more than 100 rupees. A kilo of carrots costs more than 400 rupees. Now they are saying that rice, coconuts and vegetables will be imported. So do we need a government? If anyone casts their vote thinking that Ranil will fix the economy, do not do so this time.
This government is engaged in a campaign to divest from agriculture completely and make foreign farmers wealthy. They are destroying farming in our country and prices are sky high.
Steal as much as you want, but do not get caught. That was what the former president used to say. Everyone became thieves. Public officials, the police, the judiciary, they all became thieves except for a handful.
We are speaking of good governance now while others are engaged in politics. Eventually what has happened is that the thieves are at large. The unfortunate and honest people are facing problems.
From among those contesting the election, we are coming forward as the party with no allegations of corruption. At the same time, I must say that the JVP does not have corruption allegations either. At this election, I must reiterate that other parties are facing corruption allegations.
In 3 years, they have not caught a single rogue. Not one rogue in 3 years. The government came in to catch thieves, and what happened? They caught the thieves, and the thieves crept into government.
We are in the government too. We are also shareholders in this government. We have not allowed the UNP to run the government alone. The government must be run in partnership with the SLFP.
If there are people who feel ashamed to be in this government, they can leave. There is no problem. They do not need to call out shame, shame and remain in this government. According to information we have received, there is a group in the SLFP who do not want the report of the Commission on Serious Fraud and Corruption to be made public.
Following a public rally in Mattakuliya, MP Ravi Kurunayaka answered questions posed by the media.
Who said that I did not receive the report? Do I have to publicly announce that I have the report? We have got it. When the Prime Minister gets it, we also get it. We now know why the government doesn't put this out in the open. Because it is a massive fraud, they don't publish this to the public. Otherwise, what other problems do they have? Why don't they reveal everything?
ජනාධිපතිවරයා කියනවා පික්පොකට් ගහලා මිනිස්සෙක් මොරා දුවනවා කියලා කෑ ගහනවා කියලා. මේක ඔබතුමාට අරපු හින්ටක්ද?
I don't think the president will do such cheap things. What you think is not what he thinks. Maybe it was a hint to the Rajapaksas. Everyone saw how they behaved in parliament. What of the behavior of the Prime Minister? The Prime Minister made a statement and the Rajapaksas didn't let him read. So what is the issue here?
Minister Harin Fernando yesterday made a revelation about an attempt made at giving a massive bribe.
A group from that side offered me over 800 million during the previous election to take action to defeat Maithripala Sirisena. Even I don't know the number of zeros in 800 million. Had I taken that, I would not need to go in for elections. I could have lived a comfortable life, as that amount would have been sufficient for a few generations to live. This is a very serious statement, since what he has said is a direct allegation of bribery and corruption, against a backdrop where such a large sum of money was offered as a bribe to Minister Harin Fernando. Only now, 3 years later, is he revealing this information to the country. Thereby a serious problem arises regarding his honesty. He has also said that if he had taken the money, he could have lived well with no trouble. This shows the true motivation of such individuals who enter politics. Minister Harin Fernando must immediately divulge the names of those on the other side. We say to the Minister of Law and Order that we will be submitting a complaint on this matter by Monday. We request Minister Sagala Ratnayaka to immediately arrest the minister who has made this statement, apprehend the individual who has offered to pay this immense bribe, and enforce the law against them.
14 people from Pindenia Kegol who participated in a protest against a negligent bus driver who caused the death of a schoolgirl and serious injuries to an elderly woman and another girl were placed in remand custody today. Area residents staged a demonstration blocking the road beyond midnight yesterday, following which the police fired tear gas to disperse the crowd.
A 7-year-old schoolgirl was killed while her grandmother and another girl were injured when they were run over by a bus in Pindenia Kegol last evening. The victims had been returning home following a private tuition class when tragedy struck. The injured grandmother and the other girl were admitted to the Kegol hospital. While the driver of the bus has been taken into custody, area residents staged a demonstration claiming the police had failed to enforce the law. The demonstrators blocked the Kegol Avissawala road in Tornagahapitiya. While the police tried on several occasions to disperse the angry protesters, the demonstration continued beyond midnight. If a mistake has been made, there must be a disciplinary inquiry. There has been no mistake. He has been produced in court. If you want, you can go to Geneva. Can you set fires in this way? Who is accountable for this? Who will impose fines for this? 4 or 5 of you got drunk and incited the whole village. Who is going to bear the sorrow for the loss of this child? Look at what happened to this innocent girl. Can we bring the girl back to life? There must be justice.
Meanwhile, the remains of the girl killed in the collision were brought to her home in Boyagoda, Arandara this evening.
The victim has been identified as MP Chamudi Sadatarani, a grade 2 student from the Arandara Junior School. Our correspondent noted that she was the youngest of 3 siblings. The final rites will be observed at the Boyagoda Public Cemetery tomorrow evening.
Well, that's a look at Primetime News for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.